The day before the engagement, my boyfriend accompanied his first love, Lulu, to meet her parents. Nina? He saw me, his eyes panicked. But he quickly calmed down and questioned me, "What are you doing here?" I sneered, "Just passing by, you two continue." Lulu's mother smiled and asked, "Ryan, who is this?" "A friend." Leaving the café, I wandered aimlessly on the street. Ryan didn't chase after me, nor did he send a single explanatory message. It wasn't until the sky turned gloomy and the muffled thunder brought me back to reality that I hailed a taxi home. I smiled bitterly. Tomorrow was supposed to be our engagement day. Yet, Ryan took his first love, Lulu, to meet her parents. He truly couldn't let go of her. Back home, I flopped onto the bed, burying my face in the pillow. On the bedside table lay the engagement ring for tomorrow, adorned with a small diamond. I preferred diamond rings, but Ryan had said they weren't a good investment and insisted I buy a gold one. Now, Ryan had voluntarily bought a diamond ring, with Lulu engraved inside. I couldn't cry, my mind was filled with the image of Ryan embracing Lulu, mocking me with his gaze. Lulu was Ryan's childhood sweetheart and his first love. I had argued with Ryan countless times because of her presence. Ryan always said they grew up together like siblings and that I was overthinking things. If there was something between Lulu and me, where would you fit in? He said this every time, making me feel more and more like Lulu's backup. During our worst argument, Ryan accused me of having dirty thoughts, questioning how there couldn't be pure friendship between a man and a woman. He slammed the door and left, and we didn't speak for over a month. But this time I didn't want to argue. I had realized my place and would no longer dream. Lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. So, I went to the balcony, took a few bottles of beer from the fridge, and without turning on the light, drank the cold beer cup by cup under the neighborhood lights. I don't know how much time passed, but the children playing in the neighborhood had long gone home, and not a soul was in sight. Occasionally, a few stray cats rummaged through the trash cans for food. Then, Ryan returned. But first, I heard Lulu's voice. "Ryan, does your house look like a woman lives here? It's such a mess, and there's a strange smell." I sat silently at the small table on the balcony. In all the time I'd been with Ryan, he never lifted a finger to help with household chores. Not only did he not clean, but all the housework, grocery shopping, and cooking fell on me. As Ryan turned on the light, he noticed me on the balcony. His tone was icy. "Who are you trying to scare by not turning on the lights at home?" Lulu smiled at me. "Nina, I hope I'm not disturbing you too." Then, she turned to Ryan, pretending to be upset. "Don't talk to Nina like that, be gentler with girls." Ryan, of course, listened to her, his gaze softening. "Nina, about what happened today, I was afraid you'd misunderstand, so I specifically asked Lulu to come and explain to you in person." Lulu smiled sweetly and took my hand. "Yes, Nina, my parents are pressuring me to find a boyfriend, and I wanted to placate them. If I brought just any man, they'd be suspicious, but since Ryan and I grew up together, they trust him. So, I asked him to help me out." She blinked her beautiful eyes, looking utterly innocent. If I said anything harsh to her, it would surely be my fault. "Nina, you don't mind, do you?" "Nina, Lulu has sincerely explained to you, don't be upset anymore." I hadn't said a word, but Ryan was already defending Lulu. So, I shook off Lulu's hand, suddenly furious. "I'm not angry, I should thank her for taking my boyfriend to meet her parents." Lulu's smile froze, but Ryan got angry. "We're childhood friends, if Lulu asks for help, what's wrong with me, as her brother, helping her?" "Brother? I think you want to be her boyfriend. Today you meet her parents, next step is marriage." Ryan was extremely impatient, probably holding back his anger because Lulu was there. "Don't think so dirtily, I've told you many times, Lulu is just my sister." "Nina, don't be angry, it was my idea. If you want to hit or scold someone, come at me, don't take it out on Ryan." "Me, dirty? Taking it out on him?" Watching them play off each other, my anger boiled over. Seeing that I was silent, Ryan thought I had calmed down and gently patted my shoulder. Quickly apologize to Lulu, and this will be over. I pushed Ryan away, my eyes red with anger. Apologize? Why should I apologize to a woman who's unclear with my boyfriend? She should be the one apologizing to me. Ryan was furious. Nina, you're insulting a girl's purity, have some shame. I order you to apologize to Lulu. Lulu stepped between us, trying to calm Ryan like a peacemaker. Ryan, don't argue with Nina because of me, I'll feel so guilty. I'm sorry. Her words were full of pretense, but cold water can't brew green tea, and Ryan was too eager to please her. Remembering how Ryan had always defended Lulu over the years, my heart turned completely cold. Nina, can you be reasonable? You even forced Lulu to apologize to you, don't push it too far. I order you to apologize to Lulu now, or I'll break up with you. Ryan pointed at my nose, extremely angry. In the past, I would have swallowed my pride, apologized to Lulu, and cried alone. But now, I didn't want to endure it anymore. Then let's break up. After saying that, I turned and went back to my room. I heard Lulu's voice from outside, full of grievance. Ryan, don't be impulsive. You and Nina were fine, if you break up because of me, I'll be so sad. How could it be your fault? Don't overthink it, it's her own pettiness. When mentioning me, Ryan almost gritted his teeth. Let her calm down overnight, by tomorrow morning, she'll be begging to reconcile. I'll take you home. Soon, I heard the door close. My heart completely calmed down, but I wouldn't beg for reconciliation as Ryan thought. If it were the university me, I probably would have. But time reveals a person's true nature, and I had grown up. In university, Ryan was the student council president, handsome and academically excellent. I was one of the many girls who had a crush on him, working under him in the student council. That's how we got to know each other. During a social event, Ryan got drunk and vomited on me. I took care of him without complaint. When he sobered up, he apologized and bought me a new dress as compensation. It was the first time I received a gift from Ryan, and I was overjoyed. Impulsively, I confessed my feelings. To my surprise, Ryan agreed and gently hugged me. At that moment, I felt like the happiest person in the world. But now, everything had changed. Ryan no longer smiled at me like he used to. After Lulu returned to the country, his attention was never on me again. I took off the engagement ring and put it back in the box. Since I had decided to say goodbye to the past, I should return the things that bound me. Alone, I went home that night. That night, I threw myself into my mother's arms and sobbed uncontrollably. She comforted me by gently patting my back, like soothing a baby. My father frowned and sent messages and made calls one by one to cancel the engagement banquet. They didn't ask anything and unconditionally stood by my side. I slept well at home, no one messaged me except my best friend. She didn't ask for reasons, just told me that if I was unhappy, she could be by my side anytime. Without waiting for my best friend to come, I immediately bought a plane ticket to her city. I stayed there for a week, and Ryan didn't send a single message. He probably thought I was just throwing a tantrum, we had cold wars before. In the past, I couldn't hold back and would initiate reconciliation. Ryan must have thought I would foolishly apologize to him again. Then, he could drag me in front of Lulu to show off and trample on my dignity. This was the first time I didn't take the initiative to contact him, and I thought I never would again. In the past, I had backed down and tolerated too many times. Because I loved him deeply, every time we argued, I was the first to give in. He seemed to enjoy the feeling of having me under his control. My best friend had advised me, saying that I was no different from a simp. I foolishly smiled and said, "You don't know how good Ryan is to me, we are mutually devoted." Now, thinking back, I was truly blind and foolish. After having enough fun, as soon as I got off the plane, my phone had several missed calls and dozens of messages, all from Ryan. I ignored them. When I got home, I found Ryan had come to my door. As soon as he saw me, he got angry, acting as if this was his home. "Nina, you haven't come back for so long, do you still care about this home? Did you ask for my opinion when you canceled the engagement banquet? Do you know how embarrassing it was when relatives came to my house? The key point was the last sentence. I had embarrassed him. I sneered, the engagement banquet? Why don't you let Lulu take my place? She'd probably be happy to help. Ryan was stunned, not expecting me to say that. Can you stop being so unreasonable? Lulu and I are innocent. I don't care anymore, Ryan. Whatever is between you and Lulu has nothing to do with me now. In the past few days, it wasn't that I hadn't hoped for Ryan to call me, but he never did. Instead, Lulu was actively updating her Facebook. There were photos of them going to a bar together, with Lulu half leaning in Ryan's arms, smiling happily. She even deliberately exposed the birthmark on Ryan's left wrist, as if afraid I wouldn't recognize him. They were having so much fun, why couldn't I? But Ryan couldn't understand and yelled at me, Nina, have I been too good to you, making you fearless? You keep overthinking and affecting my relationship with Lulu. How can a girl be so dirty-minded? Nina, don't think that just because you're my girlfriend, you can insult Lulu. If you don't apologize, I'll break up with you. Ryan kept mentioning Lulu, which made me sick. I expressionlessly said coldly, I won't apologize. Let's break up. Perhaps not expecting my firm attitude, Ryan was stunned. I opened the door and asked him to leave my house. Wait, Nina, what do you mean? Can't you understand? I said, you and I, Nina and Ryan, are broken up. Ryan's expression visibly panicked, and his earlier arrogance disappeared. Nina, are you really angry? Ryan's slightly ingratiating look made me a bit nauseous. Why hadn't I seen this side of him before? I've told you, Lulu is like my sister. If she asks for help and I, as her brother, don't go, wouldn't that be too unkind? You're really overthinking it. It was just pretending to be her boyfriend, not real. Can't you be a bit more magnanimous? I'm not magnanimous? How much more magnanimous do I need to be? Since Lulu returned, you've prioritized her in everything, even going to meet her parents the day before our engagement. Who exactly ruined the engagement banquet? You know it in your heart. I finally couldn't hold back and yelled at Ryan. The noise disturbed my parents in the room. When they came out and saw Ryan, their faces changed. Get out, you're not welcome in our home, my father said with a dark face, while my mother gently patted my shoulder to comfort me. Ryan's face turned pale instantly, and he stammered, trying to please my parents. Uncle, Auntie, what are you saying? Nina and I are just having a little disagreement. Nina, I'll apologize to you, okay? Let's turn the page on this matter and live well from now on. I rolled my eyes directly. When I needed an apology the most, Ryan was with Lulu at the bar. What's the use of apologizing now? No need. Please leave my house, we've already broken up. Ryan was completely dumbfounded, he didn't expect my attitude to be so resolute. In the past, I was always the one begging for reconciliation, and he would graciously take me back. He always treated me like a pet he owned, thinking that with a little tease, I would obediently come back to him. But now, I'm not that domesticated kitten anymore. If the tiger doesn't show its might, do you really think I'm a sick cat? Nina, with Uncle and Auntie here, don't make a scene. Let's go home and talk, okay? As he said this, Ryan tried to grab my hand, but my father stepped between us. Ryan, you bullied my daughter first. Leave now, or I'll call the police. Ryan's face changed instantly, his eyes darting between me and my parents. Uncle, Auntie, Nina, and I have a little disagreement. It's better if you two elders don't get involved in young people's affairs. I finally couldn't take it anymore. There's no need to maintain good manners in front of such a shameless person. Ryan, have some shame. A little disagreement? How would you feel if I brought a man home to meet my parents? The engagement banquet was all arranged by my family. The day before, you went to accompany Lulu's parents. My father, at 50, had to humble himself to call and notify everyone that the engagement was cancelled. Have you ever thought about my family? Ryan was stunned, stammering and unable to say a complete sentence. After a while, he came up with an excuse, saying hurriedly, You should have told me about canceling the engagement banquet, we could have figured something out together. So, it's all my fault? Ryan never reflects, he only shifts the blame. You know I'm too busy with work, I even forgot which day the engagement banquet was. Busy with work? Yet he could find time to accompany Lulu to meet her parents. He never took me seriously, he suppressed what I liked and insisted on what I disliked. Lulu had been studying abroad for 4 years. On the day she returned, he was overjoyed and cooked a feast at home to welcome her, all her favorite dishes. In all the time I was with him, he never cooked for me. He would fulfill what Lulu liked but suppress what I liked. Now I realize that I was severely manipulated by Ryan's words. My father drove Ryan out of the house. At over 20 years old, I couldn't always live at home and let my parents take care of me. After finding a place, I went back to the original place to pack my clothes. I tried to insert the key and found that the lock hadn't been changed. I sneered. Pushing the door open, Ryan was tidying up the house and was both surprised and happy to see me. You're back, Nina. The house had changed a lot, finally looking the way I liked it. I loved plants, and now the bare balcony was decorated with various greenery. I liked fabric sofas, and Ryan had replaced the old wooden one. Everything was as I had imagined, but Ryan was different. When I first suggested decorating like this, Ryan said plants attract bugs and are hard to maintain. But in all the years we lived together, I was the one cleaning the house, Ryan never lifted a finger. He didn't find cleaning troublesome, he just didn't want to see me happy. Are you hungry? I'll cook for you now. I remember you like stir-fried beef, right? Did he think that by doing this now, I would still be moved? In the past, I would have been moved to tears. Ryan cooking for me would have made me feel that nothing was insurmountable. But now, my heart was calm, I just wanted to pack my things and move out. Ryan had just put on his apron when his phone rang. What's wrong? Don't cry. I'll be right there. He was so anxious, this call must be from Lulu. Ryan put down the spatula, seemingly seeking my opinion. Nina, Lulu was hit by a car, Go quickly, it would be bad if something serious happened to Lulu. Ryan didn't expect me to agree so quickly. He took off the apron and hugged me. Nina, wait for me, I'll be back soon after handling this, and we'll have a candlelight dinner tonight. I frowned as I watched him leave, his hug not only pained my heart but also made me a bit nauseous. There were many ingredients in the fridge, indeed all things I loved to eat, braised eggplant, stir-fried beef, mapo tofu, all spicy dishes. I liked spicy food, but because Ryan said he didn't, I hadn't eaten spicy food for a long time. If only he had cooked these for me in the past. He clearly knew how to cook. When Lulu returned, he made 7 dishes and a soup, which I still remember. Unfortunately, it wasn't for me. I would never get what Ryan gave to me. But so what? Now, I completely didn't care anymore. I handled the ingredients alone and made 4 dishes and a soup. This last meal was like a farewell dinner for Ryan and me. After so many years, no matter what, parting on good terms would at least leave some dignity for both of us. But until the food cooled and was about to spoil, Ryan didn't come back. At dawn, I finally packed all my things. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Ryan busy in the kitchen. Yesterday's dishes weren't put in the fridge and spoiled, so I threw them away. Come have breakfast. I stared blankly at all this, feeling like it was from another lifetime. During our cohabitation, I had fantasized countless times about Ryan making breakfast for me, but it was always me. Even when I made it, he wouldn't eat, complaining it was either not tasty or that he was tired of the same old thing. Until one day, he ran out without eating breakfast. Soon after, I saw Lulu's Facebook post, 2 cups of cappuccino with hearts drawn on them and some desserts on the table. Lulu, afraid I wouldn't know it was Ryan treating her, deliberately showed the person opposite's wrist in the photo. Yes, spoiled things should be thrown away. Deteriorated feelings should also be cut off in time. I didn't eat a bite of breakfast. Calculating the time, my best friend should be arriving soon. When Ryan opened the door, he was full of confusion but still greeted her with a smile. "Isn't this Lily? Here to see Nina? Have you had breakfast? Come in quickly." He was unusually enthusiastic. When had he ever respected my friends? Lily ignored him, just nodded politely and looked at me. "Babe, have you packed your things? The security won't let us park for long, let's go quickly." "Pack what things? Nina, where are you going?" Ryan was at a loss. Seeing the 2 suitcases behind me, he became even more flustered. "This isn't my home, I'm moving out. Goodbye." With that, I handed one suitcase to my best friend and pulled the other one myself. Ryan grabbed my hand, his eyes full of confusion. "Why are you moving out for no reason? Look, I bought back the succulents you like." Ryan pointed to the balcony, even trying to pull me over to see. I shook off Ryan's hand and asked my best friend to take the suitcase downstairs first. After she left, Ryan blocked my way. "What's wrong? Why are you moving out? Are you still angry about last time? Or about last night?" "Yesterday, I really had no choice. Lulu was hit by an electric bike, and she didn't even know how to register at the hospital alone. I couldn't leave her there by herself, could I? Besides, I asked for your opinion, and you agreed for me to go, didn't you?" Ryan always had 800 excuses. For Lulu, he had no choice. For me, he just asked me to endure. Could I endure? I couldn't endure a bit. I had had enough. "Ryan, don't be shameless. I want to part on good terms, but you're forcing me to scold you?" I pushed him away and walked to the entrance, but Ryan rushed over and blocked the door. "If you want to separate temporarily, I agree, but I won't allow you to break up." Ryan's eyes were red. I had never seen him so out of control. Would he also shed tears for me? But who cares now? Breaking up is my freedom. You say no, and it's no? Who do you think you are? "Ryan, let me tell you, I endured because I loved you before. Now, I don't love you anymore." I didn't want to argue with him about Lulu anymore. He would always say I was overthinking. Nor did I want to point out where he was wrong. He would just brush me off, saying he'd change next time. He couldn't change. I had already given Ryan countless chances. No. How can this be? Ryan suddenly lost control, shouting with red eyes, tears about to fall. He grabbed my shoulders tightly, looking at me in disbelief. "You're joking, right?" I frowned and looked at him coldly, saying, "You're hurting me, Ryan." Ryan let go abruptly, standing there like a startled puppy, his face full of disbelief. I walked past him, pulling my suitcase out. Ryan chased after me, shouting my name from behind. "Didn't you say you'd love me for a lifetime? Does that not count anymore? You also said you'd engage with me, but you went to accompany Lulu to meet her parents." The elevator arrived, and I left expressionlessly. Ryan didn't chase after me anymore. My best friend was waiting downstairs, put the suitcase in the trunk, and I got into her Porsche. As the car drove out of the neighborhood, I didn't look back once. Soothing music played in my best friend's car. I looked out the window and couldn't help but cry, not because of the breakup, but because I was finally free. After being manipulated by Ryan's words for so many years without realizing it, I could finally openly embrace my new life. I resigned from my original job, and my best friend took a week off to accompany me. After so many years with Ryan, it was impossible not to feel some emotional turmoil after the breakup. I couldn't clearly describe my feelings. There was both the relief of liberation and the sadness of the breakup. My best friend ordered a lot of delicious food, all my favorite Sichuan dishes. When I was with Ryan, even when eating hot pot, I had to order tomato soup. Ryan disliked the spicy smell and said that if I insisted on having a Mandarin duck pot, he would have to get a separate pot. In all those years together, I couldn't even freely choose a Mandarin duck pot. My best friend brought a few bottles of beer, encouraging me to eat and drink freely. While we were eating and watching the home theater, my best friend, who was scrolling through her phone, suddenly changed her expression. Damn, Ryan is so shameless. As soon as you left, he went to find Lulu. What deep affection is he pretending to have? I didn't even want to look. I no longer cared about Ryan. Even if he went to register marriage with Lulu now, it wouldn't concern me. Seeing that I didn't react, my best friend didn't dare to continue and quickly changed the topic. What about your job? You can't go back to work there, right? It's too close to Ryan's company. Several headhunters have contacted me these past few days, don't worry. Thinking about my previous job, I felt a bit regretful. Originally, I was going to work with my best friend in Shanghai, where the pay was better and the prospects were greater. For Ryan, I stayed in this small city and found a mediocre job near his company. After living together, Ryan took everything for granted. He made me pay for rent, water, electricity, and gas. He said since he didn't cook, he shouldn't pay for gas. But did he ever think about who made the hot meals he came home to every time? So, as soon as I resigned from my original job, several headhunters came to recruit me. I arranged an interview with the company I was most interested in, and I quickly passed the first round. There were 3 people in the second round of interviews, and the HR told me that the general manager would personally conduct the interview. If I passed, I would sign the contract directly and start work the next day. I was confident in myself. After all, I had a good education and work experience. I was the last one to be interviewed. The previous candidate came out with a smile, and I thought I had no chance. But when I entered the conference room, I was so surprised that I couldn't speak. Wasn't this Mark? Mark was also surprised to see me and quickly stood up to greet me. Senior? How is it you? The HR didn't tell me. After sitting down, Mark poured me tea directly, completely losing his earlier CEO demeanor and looking like a little puppy. Don't you look at resumes when hiring? I teased with a smile. This was all arranged by HR. They said there were 3 suitable candidates and asked me to interview them personally. Look, I was just woken up from my nap to do interviews, it's so hard. As he said this, Mark lifted his foot, and I noticed that while he was wearing a suit on top, he still had slippers on his feet. I couldn't help but laugh, saying he was still so interesting. I don't need to ask anything else, it's you. I believe in you, senior. Manager Mark, you can't practice nepotism. What if I'm not as good as the other 2 candidates? How could that be? Your education is higher than theirs, that's enough. Moreover, you were so outstanding in the student council back then, I saw it with my own eyes. I think you're completely qualified for the position of chief assistant. I felt relieved, and Mark asked me to go sign the contract with HR. Was I about to start a new life? I walked out of the conference room with a smile. Mark was a junior I knew from university, but we were in different departments. Except for working together on major school events, we each did our own things at other times. After so many years since graduation, I didn't expect Mark to still remember me. I didn't tell anyone that Mark was an acquaintance and just dutifully did my job. At work, Mark was completely different, very strict and always serious. Last month, he made a new intern cry. Unable to bring himself to comfort her, he treated the whole company to milk tea. This led to the interns being teased. Next time they're scolded, they must not hold back but cry, so the general manager would treat everyone to little cakes. Completely different from my previous company, the office atmosphere here was very good. Everyone was young and didn't bully juniors based on seniority. They also didn't make things difficult for me, the new chief assistant. Thinking back to my previous company, because I had worked with the general manager a few times, there were rumors about me. When I told Ryan at home, he didn't speak up for me but instead blamed me. Can't you reflect on what you did wrong? Why did they only spread rumors about you? It was truly victim blaming. At that time I was manipulated by his words to the point of self-doubt, not daring to lift my head at the company. After leaving Ryan, I threw myself into work. One day, Mark asked me to accompany him on a business trip to the Hainan branch, along with 2 other colleagues. I gladly agreed. Business trips were the best way to demonstrate a chief assistant's coordination skills, and I had to perform well. Mark had scheduled plenty of time. We arrived in Sanya a day early. I had never been to the seaside and was quite lost. "We've just got off the plane, rest well, tomorrow will be busy." Mark handed me an opened coconut. The coconut water emitted a fresh, sweet fragrance. I took a sip. It was sweet but not cloying. Whether it was acclimatization or something else, I had diarrhea that night. Reluctantly, I handed over my work to a colleague to handle, and Mark accompanied me to the hospital. The doctor said I had eaten too many cold things and also spicy food. The combination of cold and hot was too much for my stomach. "It's rare for you to make such a mistake, Senior." "I'm not superhuman," I said with a bitter smile. "Also, don't call me Senior anymore, just call me by my name." After thinking for a while, Mark tentatively asked if he could call me Nina. I nodded. Everyone in the company called me that, and the new interns called me Nina's sister. While I was receiving N4 drip, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. I thought it was a sales message and hung up. The phone rang again, and I had a bad feeling but still answered. "Nina, I'm in Sanya now. I lost my ID, and I'll have to sleep on the streets tonight." I didn't believe Ryan at all. Besides, how did he know I was in Sanya? "Don't disbelieve me, it's true. I just came out of XXX Hot Pot restaurant, and my ID was lost." It was the hot pot restaurant I had just eaten at. Was this guy following me? "Can't you get a replacement?" "I can't help you with that. The police station is closed now. I had no choice but to come to you." "Nina, please help me." I sighed. After all, we had been in a relationship for 7 years. I couldn't just let Ryan sleep on the streets. There were only a few drops left in the 4. I decided not to finish it, asked Ryan for the address, and prepared to go over. Without a word, Mark drove me there. The car stopped in front of the hot pot restaurant. Ryan thought I had come by taxi and rushed over to hug me. I pushed him away forcefully, frowning with a troubled expression. At this moment, Mark also got out of the car, looking at us thoughtfully. Ryan, however, was the first to confront. "Nina, who is he?" "I'm Nina's boyfriend." "Who are you?" Mark's answer shocked even me, and Ryan looked incredulous. At this time, Lulu came running from somewhere, carrying a bag of toiletries. "Nina, what are you doing? Ryan has been looking for you for so long. You avoided him, and now you have a new lover. You're really letting him down." Before Ryan could scold me, Lulu couldn't hold back. I looked at her coldly. She was clearly smug but pretended to be innocent. "Nina, this isn't true, right? You're deliberately finding someone to act, aren't you?" As Ryan was about to step forward to pull me, Mark stepped between us. "Sir, I don't care what you had with Nina before, now she is my girlfriend. Please show some respect." Lulu couldn't sit still and sarcastically said to Mark, "Ryan has done so much for Nina, what do you, an outsider, know?" Not satisfied with that, Lulu turned to please Ryan, holding his hand. "Ryan, see what I said? Nina is very scheming, she never cared about you. You were so good to her, but she doesn't appreciate it at all. She's really heartless." Ryan fiercely shook off Lulu's hand and yelled at her, "Shut up." It was the first time I saw Ryan like this. He used to couldn't bear to raise his voice at Lulu, treating her like a treasure while stepping on me. Lulu was clearly frightened, standing there stunned, tears streaming down her face. Mark timely pulled me into his arms, lifting his chin to look at me. "This is my boyfriend." I looked at Ryan with a very certain gaze. Ryan looked as if struck by lightning, his eyes red, glaring at Mark with gritted teeth, but when facing me, his eyes were full of reluctance. Mark took me to the car, and I really didn't want to care about Ryan's fate anymore, directly returning to the hotel. "If you mind what I did just now, I apologize." I quickly shook my head. Not only did I not mind, but Mark had actually helped me a lot. If he hadn't stepped forward, I didn't know what Ryan would have done to me. Mark sighed. "Was that Ryan just now? Back in university, I thought you two were quite a match." If he came to reconcile with you, why did he bring another woman with such a foul mouth? It's like he ate shit. I was amused by Mark's words, and my heart was no longer in turmoil. That night, I took my medicine and rested well. The next day, I went to liaise with the head office. I was busy with work and blocked all of Ryan's contact methods, including that unknown number from last night. After returning, I also threw myself into work. Perhaps the blow that day was too great, but Ryan seemed to have disappeared from my world. I had been delayed by Ryan for too long. Now, my only goal was to work hard and make money. Mark had always valued me. After my excellent performance at the branch, he started letting me make some decisions. I knew Mark was going to be promoted to director and intended to train me to be the next department manager. Therefore, I worked very hard, often staying late into the night. Finally, a small vacation came, and I thought it had been a long time since I went home. I called my mom, telling her not to buy groceries tonight. I would buy things and cook at home. Unexpectedly, when I got home and opened the door, I saw Ryan and his parents sitting in the living room. "Nina is back? Ryan, go help Nina with her things." Ryan's mother greeted me with a smile, directing Ryan to come and help me carry things. Ryan's eagerness made me a bit nauseous. Why hadn't I seen him like this before? I frowned, didn't hand him the things in my hand, and instead walked past him straight into the kitchen. "Mom, what's going on?" My mom was a bit embarrassed and whispered in my ear, "They insisted on coming over, and I couldn't just ask them to leave. Your dad isn't home yet." I knew my mom was soft-hearted, and I had inherited that from her. But now, I had changed. I could be soft-hearted to anyone except Ryan. "Uncle, Auntie, you came all this way. It must have been hard, but Ryan and I have already broken up." Ryan's mother was very shocked and quickly came to hold my hand. "What are you saying? You've been with Ryan for so many years, how can you break up just like that?" "It's normal for couples to have little conflicts. His father and I argue all the time, but we're still fine, aren't we? If there's any conflict, with us parents here today, you two can talk it out and live well from now on." I really laughed. Was this something that could be said? Did Ryan's mother know that Ryan had a good sister? Ryan suddenly knelt down, startling both me and my mom. He was in tears, almost ready to kowtow to me. "Nina, I was really wrong. Can't we talk this out properly? I can't live without you. A home without you isn't a home. Nina, please come back." I looked down at him and said coldly, "All right, then swear to me that you'll never contact Lulu again in this lifetime, and I'll consider it." Ryan suddenly fell silent, and that moment of silence was enough to kill me. He ultimately couldn't let go of Lulu. Since he couldn't let go of his first love, why did he provoke me? Wanting both was his mistake, wasn't it? My mom couldn't bear to watch and asked Ryan to get up. Ryan was the type to take advantage of any kindness, shouting like a child throwing a tantrum, "I won't get up. Not unless Nina forgives me. If you want to kneel, go kneel at the neighborhood entrance, don't affect my whole family." I yelled, screaming as I pushed him out. "You won't leave? If you don't leave, I'll cut myself with a knife. Get out now." Ryan's parents hurriedly came to stop me as I picked up a fruit knife and held it to my hand. Only Ryan was allowed to go crazy? Couldn't I go crazy too? Finally, I drove everyone out of my house and breathed a sigh of relief. Turning back, I saw my mom looking at me worriedly. I immediately put down the fruit knife. "Mom, I'm fine, I was just deliberately disgusting them. Ryan was going crazy in our house. If we didn't drive him out, how could our family have dinner?" My mom relaxed, and while I massaged her shoulders, I acted spoiled. "Mom, I bought Crucian carp. I want to drink Crucian carp soup tonight." My mom finally smiled softly and said yes repeatedly. While my mom was cooking in the kitchen and I was helping, a call came in. It was my dad. He had forgotten his house keys and asked me to open the door for him. "What's Ryan doing?" "He's kneeling downstairs." It scared me to death. I took a detour to come in through the back door. I smiled and shook my head, saying to ignore him. The most important thing was for our family to have a good dinner. I walked to the balcony and looked down. Ryan was indeed kneeling there. Who cares? He's just self-indulgent. When I didn't need it, his explanations were so feeble. I had long stopped caring about him. Just as the meal was ready, I received a call. Senior, you've been working so hard lately. I want to treat you to a meal to reward you. Where are you? Looking at the table full of dishes, I smiled and said to the person on the phone, come to my house. Today, let you taste your senior's cooking first.